And I believe she's reached the end, almost at the end of the Western Freeway. She'll head through the busy Toowong roundabout and veer left up past the Toowong Cemetery. Back to you, Patrick Condren, as we wait for the Premier to arrive at Government House. What are the main issues going to be in this state election? We've already heard reference to the Adani coal mine.
Absolutely. That will be significant, particularly for people in central Queensland who are big supporters of the mine because of the number of jobs and the sort of money that will be pumped into that region, which is, you know, desperately needing some of that investment. Of course, it will have an opposite effect in southeast Queensland, where the Adani mine, more liberal voters, more liberal thinkers would be against the mine because it is going to be the biggest coal mine in the southern hemisphere. It will play, interestingly, particularly in South Brisbane, where the Deputy Premier, Jackie Trad, is under significant pressure from the Greens candidate there. And of course, the Greens are very, very anti-Adani. Some of the other issues that we can expect to hear a hell of a lot of over the next 28 days of this campaign is electricity prices. Opposition says that electricity prices under Labor have skyrocketed, and Labor counters with, hang on a second, when you were running the show last time round under Campbell Newman, electricity prices went up 43%. So we'll have a lot of argy-bargy around that. There are some bread and butter state issues that will inevitably be canvassed, law and order being one in particular, education and health. But in terms of these campaigns, particularly these days, is voters will not really engage with the electoral process until the last few days of the campaign. Up until then, for the politicians, particularly Tim Nicholls and Annastacia Palaszczuk, it's all about not making a goose of yourself in front of the cameras. So it's steady as you go. And I've got to say that Tim Nicholls, up until this point, has been a pretty low-profile opposition leader in terms of his public appearances. Obviously now, for the next 28 days, he will not be able to escape the people like myself. But
Patrick, I'd like to come back to you a little later because the Premier is approaching Government House. But just quickly before we go to Simon Love, who's outside the front gate there, just tell us briefly about this climate and why she's decided to go to the voters now. For instance, the federal political scene is rather chaotic at the moment. Have they seen an advantage there?
Absolutely. The High Court decision on Friday was a little bit of a gift for the Premier. I mean, she was always going to go up today and call the November 25 election, certainly in the last few weeks, because they've been setting it up. You know, there's been a significant health issue for the former Minister Bill Byrne in Rockhampton. His health is deteriorating, and so the Premier's taken that into consideration. And of course, on Friday we saw on the Premier's orders, controversial Labor MP Rick Williams booted out of the party. So they're the two local issues.
That's right. And Patrick, the Premier's car is currently just around the corner from Fernberg Road. So let's bring in reporter Simon Love, who is outside the front gates of Government House. Simon, you'll see the Premier turn left into Fernberg Road any moment now. What sort of reception will she receive outside Government House there? There are a number of people gathered.
I think, Kay, she might get a bit of a mixed reception, Kay, because there is Liberal National Party people as well as Labor people here supporting the campaign for Maiwar, which is a seat in this local area. Ali King, the candidate, is also here, but we're expecting the Premier just to come up Fernberg Road very soon. Looks like she may have taken a little bit of a detour to go around detouring Met Road 5 to go around the back way into Government House. So we'll see her coming from the bottom of the hill all the way up to the top. So no doubt a very defining moment of her premiership of at least this term, and no doubt these images will be kicking us off getting into campaign 2017.
She's just turned the corner, Simon.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed reception.
So here she comes now.
We're all definitely waiting for her here, Kay. Wondering whether she might wind down the window and maybe give us a bit of a chat before she comes in. I can see the car coming up now with the official government flag. So no doubt all the Labor and Liberal people here are putting up those placards. But here she comes into the driveway. And here's the Premier, you calling the election? So there you go, Kay. She's waved the window down. No words, I don't believe, from Annastacia Palaszczuk, but in she goes up the gates to Government House, and she'll be meeting with the Acting Governor, Chief Justice Catherine Holmes, the actual Governor. Paul de Jersey's away on official business, and in the next couple of minutes or so, no doubt the Premier will be sitting down for a cup of tea, as she did with her grandmother this morning. She'll be sitting down, probably asking the Acting Governor to dissolve the Houses of Parliament and call an election, and that'll get us going in for election 2017.
Simon, the Premier has just alighted from her car, or she is alighting, here she comes, and being greeted there by security and no doubt the Governor's aide-de-camp or his staff there. Patrick Condren, the Premier. These are the pictures that we've been anticipating for some time now. So I guess it's a bit of a relief for everybody in Queensland to see this process is underway. There's a lot of scaffolding around Government House. I didn't realise there's a bit of a refurb going on there, a bit of a facelift. So Annastacia Palaszczuk has headed in through the front door there. We've got two of the state's most powerful women about to meet and greet, and as you said, Simon Love, perhaps have another refreshment. It'll be no doubt a cordial exchange between these two women. As you pointed out, Simon, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the first female Justice, Catherine Holmes, will meet with the current Premier of Queensland, Annastacia Palaszczuk. So, Patrick Condren, how do you think the conversation will go?
Well, it's an excellent question, Kay, and if I could answer it 100% correct, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be down at the racecourse having a punt on the GGs. It's impossible to tell. I mean, campaigning these days is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. Because of the nature of the media, because of, social media via these things, the politicians have got to be on their game 100% of the time, 100%. So it's a different sort of game these days in terms of how the politicians get their messages out. As I said earlier, Annastacia Palaszczuk is a seasoned campaigner. She took Labor from 7 seats to government in a single term, consigning to the political rubbish heap Campbell Newman's administration, who'd come in with a record majority. Tim Nicholls, untested in this sort of environment. And then of course, there's the one nation component, who could end up being king or queen makers at the end of the day if voters don't deliver a majority one way or the other. Annastacia Palaszczuk tabled in Parliament behind me a couple of weeks ago a letter to a statutory declaration declaring that Labor would put one nation last. Tim Nicholls, on the other hand, has repeatedly said on the record that preference deals with one nation and the LNP will be done on a seat-by-seat basis. So, it will be a fascinating 4 weeks, particularly for people like me. I understand how the voters will get a little bit jaded by the time we've reached November the 25th, but it will be very, very, very interesting to watch as it unfolds throughout the next 4 weeks.
And all will be revealed, as you say. Patrick Condren, our chief political editor there, making those observations from Parliament House. All will be revealed on November the 25th. A blessing in some ways that I guess it is a reasonably short, sharp election campaign. Those pictures there, live from Government House in Paddington, where the Premier is currently meeting with the Acting Governor, Catherine Holmes. As we've heard, the Premier will address Queensland voters from Darra later today, and of course we'll bring you that live as well. And please join us for full coverage in 7 News tonight at 6.
The battle for Queensland is on.
Only 7 News will guarantee you a front row seat.
And the Powerhouse panel, Sharon Gadilla, Michael Usher, Mark Riley, Patrick Condren, Kate Jones and former Premier Rob Ulrich, plus live to One Nation as Pauline Hanson tries to spoil the party.
No gimmicks, just results.
First and fast.
Election night done right.
Queensland Decides 2017, live from 5 on Election Saturday on 7.